This playthrough is rated M for mature.
I guess Hawaii, it really is the city that never sleeps. Greetings and salutations, viewers. Well, I'm back here with another episode of Shadowrun Hong Kong. In the last episode, we finished redoing a Gobbet story mission where we kept the ship safe so her friends and everyone can still live on their place, but she's long since left them behind to do her own thing. And we just talked to Isabel about her memories, about wanting to get rid of them, Duncan about his memories, and Gobbet about what she did. And so it's time to talk to everyone in town and then head on to our next mission. So let's head to Crafty. She sent us a mail about what was going on, so let's see how she's doing. A sight unexpected from the window's slapdash product displays strikes you as you walk in through the shop. Everything is clean, unusually clean. Not spotless. A nearby food plate resting atop a small collection of books speaks to that, but otherwise the piles of journals and notebooks and books from before are, for the most part, on shelves, organized. The shopkeeper is nowhere to be seen. You don't remember whether an open sign was on the front door, but the handle turned easily enough. Someone must be here. You approach the front counter and see a service bell. Ring the bell. You hear a thump, followed by a loud, "Shit!" Crafty leaps up from behind the counter, rubbing the top of her head, a duster in her other hand. Her eyes widen when she sees you. Wiggles. Wow, you've been busy. I feel like I've walked into another dimension. Crafty waves your comment away. I was getting hounded by some of my regular patrons and maybe a sanitation officer or two. You see the urgency in her eyes as she leans forward. That doesn't matter, Wiggles. I found it. The thing we've been searching for. I know what's happening inside the walled city. Is everything okay? No, definitely not. She takes a breath. The Yama Kings, they're real. So that story that Isabel told us was possibly real and she's proven it? You're off your rocker. Crafty's eyes hold your gaze with an unshakable intensity. I'm serious. You know me. I'm the last person to start believing in Santa Claus, much less my mother's ravings. But this is solid. The Yama Kings are real and they're coming. She lays her palms flat on the counter, almost breathless. They've been on their way to the walled city since the place was built. The dreams, they're portents of their comings, omens, manifested as dreams. You really believe that? Just think about it. The strange things we've been dreaming, the sensations, the hunger, asleep or awake, it affects us all the time, anywhere. The connection? We're all in or near the walled city itself, a beacon for disaster. Something or some things have noticed the city, and now they're noticing them. Then everything that's happened to the walled city, it's been the Yama Kings all along? Not quite. I don't think the Yama Kings are the cause of the walled city's corruption. They're the effect. Something in the walled city has so polluted the feng shui of the place that it's acting as a magnet for malevolent astral beings. Mom was right. There's something at work in the walled city. I don't know if it's curse or something else, but there's something deeply unnatural at work in that place. Her words shake. I'm so sorry, Mother. I thought I was closing my eyes to your madness, but all I did was prevent myself from seeing the truth, from seeing what was unfolding right in front of me. Are these beings what broke your mother? The Yama Kings weren't directly responsible for Mother's corruption. It was caused by the root problems which attracted the Yama Kings to the city in the first place. The poison at the bottom of the well, whatever it is, it's been there from the very beginning, and it's no way natural. People did this. I suppose we can take some comfort in knowing that your mother was under the influence of something else. She wasn't herself. I know where you're coming from, Wiggles, but my mother still allowed herself to be corrupted. She put herself in the way of evil, and it took her. Not a second thought for anyone else. Her research has given us a valuable resource. I'm glad these journals, these pieces of her mind, can be used to arm ourselves against the Yama Kings. The knowledge it's given will help us in the trials to come. Can the Yama Kings leave the walled city? Why would they? The curse, or whatever it is that's attracting the Yama Kings to the walled city, has turned the city into an ideal hunting ground. With a practical sweep of her hand, she tucks a strand of hair behind her ear, and a foggy hand print slowly disappears from the counter where her hand was pressed. Have you ever heard of terraforming? It's an old science fiction idea. You make a planet like the moon or something in an Earth-like environment to support human habitation. That's what's happening in the walled city, only in reverse and on an astral level. I think that pent-up toxic key in the walled city is turning the place into an extension of the Yama King's home plane, making the environment there hospitable for them. They won't range beyond it for the same reason why you wouldn't leave a bathysphere in the deep ocean. But as we've seen, that corruption is spreading. It's already starting to seep into Hawaii. If left unchecked for another 30, 40 years, who knows what might happen. Let's backtrack for a moment. This is big, Crafty. Huge. It's simply huge. At your words, an unusual mood washes over Crafty. She raises her hands and grips her tattooed arm, hugging her chest. Please, Wiggles, you have to stop it. This evil. For yourself, for my mother, for every man, woman, and child in the walled city in Hawaii. Nobody outside of our community will care about this. They've already written people like us off. If what's happening here is to be undone, we have to be the ones to do it. What am I, a Japanese RPG protagonist? I'm not here to save the world. Of course, this is just as important to me as it is to you. I'll do whatever I can to stop the Yama Kings. You watch her grip relax, her shoulders ease. Thank you, really, thank you. Alright, well, I'd like to see what you got in stock after all that. But yeah, that's one of the big things is finding out the Yama Kings are real, and Isabel's story about learning about the Yama Kings all go hand in hand. But anyway, she's got new weapons, or new stuff in general. Everyone does, actually, so we want to go over all the equipment. But yeah, Acid Bolt for your Shamans, Power Bolt for your Spellcasters. Got a new outfit. We can buy the Wujing lined coat, which adds 8 to armor. Spells wise, I don't remember exactly what's been added, but there have been some newer spells like Flamethrower 4 now, which can do 30 damage, which I need to buy. I need to update my intelligence though, so which I mean doesn't cost that much, is only a point. But yeah, basically I think a lot of stuff has gone up to 3 and 4, if I recall. So yeah, upgrade your spells and everything while you're there. I think Conjuring, obviously, but don't worry about your companions there. Spells will auto upgrade after a certain when you level them up, so you don't have to worry about buying stuff from them unless you want to. Yeah, no new. Unfortunately, they don't get any new fetishes over the course of the game. We basically got what we got, so oh well. But yeah, I'll buy that stuff off screen. So at some point. So all right, I'll take care of my own stuff. All right, let's see who else has anything to say. I think these guys still have to say the same thing, but I'll double check with them anyway. Let's see. Okay. Yep, they still have the same thing. Cool. I didn't think they had anything more throughout the course of the game, but sometimes I like to double check just to make sure. I think Matthew doesn't really have much. Let's see. Yeah, Relevant Matthew stands quietly. Cheap suit. Yeah. But he's got new drones if you want to take a look at them. Guardian Mark II. Mark Auto, so just variation. Yeah, you get a lot of more options for drones in this game as opposed to the previous 2 games, at least in terms of like what they can do and everything like that, which is a nice choice. But yeah, they've got the Armor 8 clothes, everything like that. They got Repair Kits 3, so you can heal more HP for your drones. Alright. I believe Spider Shin has some new dialogue. So let's go talk to Shin. Yeah, we're getting to the point where characters are having less and less to say, so. Shin is reclining against the stacks of cages as you approach. Watching the display of a small Trid player on the table, the Trid displays the shimmering form of a dancing woman weaving her way through a crowded club. It seems to have been filmed via a portable recorder, or possibly someone's cyber eyes. Draped in wild clothing that scintillates with lights and holograms, the dancer slips through the crowd like livid mercury. Every step and evasion is effortless. You watch the dancer weave her way up a flight of stairs, moving towards a second flight balcony. As she ascends the stairs, her hands start to crackle with energy, and points of light trace across her neck, shoulders, and spine. In the glitter and flash of the club lighting, no one else seems to notice. For a split second, she looks back at the camera's point of view, smiling seductively. Shin gestures towards the holographic display, smiling broadly. Keep watching. It's about to get good in a few seconds. The dancer arrives at the top floor, moving towards a particular table. The table's occupants, triad members, judging by their tattoos, rise from where they're sitting and begin to draw weapons. Their expressions indicate they're familiar with the dancer and intend to kill her. At this point, the dancer explodes into motion. She bobs and weaves out of the way of their gunfire, her fingertips flinging electricity and fire in long arcs. She seems to dance at and around the triad soldiers. Each step and beat causes an explosion of force that scatters tables and drinks. Read in the elements, the woman cuts through the triad members in an effortless pavane of destruction. The recording ends and Shin straightens up. I could watch Zaki Ping at work all day. I don't know how she works her magic, but it's a beautiful and terrifying thing to behold. Really glad she's with the Yellow Lotus and not an enemy syndicate. That's a pretty messy trick for a crowded club. Yeah, well, Ping isn't known for her subtlety. She loves to be paid attention to, so asking her to do something quietly will generally get you ignored in a hurry. It's always a damn lightning and fire show with her. No idea how she makes the spells come out by dancing, but it's how it works for her. Anyway, what can I do for you? Do you like working for Yellows? Like has nothing to do with it. I have debts to Grandfather Woe, and I didn't to pay them. I guess they're good enough for a syndicate. We waste a lot of blood and money fighting the Red Dragon, though. Can't say that I like the end of the business, since it seems like such a huge waste. Yeah, it's, since you had to fight people like Kano. Or was Kano part of the Black Dragon? No, it's been forever since I remember Mortal Kombat history stuff. There was not Snatcher, Rise of the Triad game for the Sega CD had, I think, a Red Dragon gang in that as well. Man, it's been forever since I played that game. I need to pop that in one of the games, see if, the days to see if it still holds up. If it weren't for Grandfather, I might see about getting White Ming, steal Amlu, and Lucky Ping to break away. Maybe start our own thing in turf that's not quite so fought over. Lifting one hand, palm up, Shen smiles faintly. But I can't leave him. I owe him everything. You owe him less than you think. That's for me to decide. Honestly, he saved my life, took me in, and got me a place in this world that wasn't under somebody's boot. If that's not worth a little loyalty, nothing in this life is. Sounds like Stockholm Syndrome to me. No, doesn't make me feel any better about the developments up at the top, though. I've heard a lot of talk between the Yellow Lotus, Vanguards, and Incense Masters. They're dead set on eliminating the Red Dragons, despite the risk. When that kind of talk gets tossed around, nobody's safe. It leads to alt warfare. Last time that happened, the White Jade Brotherhood got wiped out completely. It's just bad strategy to try and wipe them out. It's all this old rivalry between the elders has nothing to do with the business end of things. Old vendettas get you killed, even if they're not yours. Tell me more about your crew. With olden arms, Shen regards you with some suspicion. We're fairly private people. Generally, when I get asked a question like that, I figure it's because someone's looking for something to use against me. Shen's expression softens after a moment, however. Well, you've been a decent person so far. I guess I can tell you some. White Ming and I started our cell. Grandfather Woe took him to Wudang a year or two before he did the same for me. And we made it clear that he expected repayment in kind. When we were old enough, and since the Yellow Lotus was his organization, we joined up. At first I was mostly small-time stuff, shell games on street corners, stuff like that. We picked up a new member after about 6 months, and things started to change. Freedom C, Dwarf Kid, absolute murder with twin pistols. The kind of focus I can bring to bear in Kung Fu, that's how he shoots. Shen grins crookedly. His parents named him Freedom and sent him to the UCS to live with an uncle. Guess they wanted him to be a really American or something. Hey, if you want real American, 2 guns, oh boy. Beyond that, there's Yang, the lawyer who saw me talking to before. The 4 of us can do pretty cozy business between jobs for Steel Amlu and Kindly Ching. It's not like we're in charge of much, but it beats starving, yeah? Let's see what you got. But yeah, it wasn't much for there, but just a little backstory. You know, anyone new weapons, new swords for your player. You know, you can buy more shurikens, stuff like that. Outfits, same thing. Got a level 8 now, or armor 8. Key casting, some new key. I haven't really gone over key stuff, but basically it's a lot of personal magic. You know, boosting your, healing yourself, boosting your armor, boosting your damage, stuff like that. So just buy whatever you see works for you. Since I'm not being a physical adept, I can't really specifically suggest stuff, but depends on the difficulty, really. If you have a high difficulty, maybe go with more armor to take the hits or something like that. It's up to you, though. Let's see, Law should have some new stuff as well. I don't know if he has any new, I don't think he has any new dialogue, but Law raises his VR goggles as you approach. His eyes are deep brown, surrounded by premature wrinkles. He squints at the light, blinking. He seems lost for words. Hey, Wiggles, his voice is subdued. I just want to say I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put anyone in danger. Lesson learned. Don't worry about it. He pulls his VR goggles back down. I guess Shadowrunning's a darker business than I thought. It is what it is. You just have to play it by certain rules. Yeah, well, whatever the rules are, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not like you, Wiggles. I'm not some carnivore. I don't want to be one. Lyle looks pensively around the docks. I want to get out of here, Wiggles. I want to get on to something bigger. Rain drizzles. Tarpaulins flaps weakly in Docks Creek. The odors of garlic, sizzling fish, ginger onions, raw sewage, and industrial effluent mingle in the heat. This place is kind of a shithole, isn't it? Sure is a shithole. It's good to be honest about it. Wallace stares out into the falling rain. His goggle lenses whine in shifting tones as if struggling to focus. For now, though, it's home, and dealing tech is going to be my way out of here. I guess that makes my strategy clear. Wallace breaks into a rascally grin. Welcome to Law's Technology Palace, Wiggles. What use of junk can I sell you? That's pretty much it for him, but yeah, he's got some new cyber decks to buy. Difference is just like AP, IP strength, stuff like that, so probably get the Excalibur if you've got the money at this point. Same thing with outfits, got an 8. I think the ESP is the same if I recall. Program-wise, he's got some level 3 stuff. If you want to buy some stuff for Isabel, for example, but usually what she has works. So, alright. Oh, see you later, Wiggles. Watch out for yourself, carnivore. Live long the boom! Alright. Alright, let's talk to Ambrose, see what he has to say if he has any new extra dialogue. I know I believe the club members do the House of Trolls, as it were. The house that Troll built. Alright, Ambrose, anything new with you? Ambrose looks exhausted. He stares blankly at a glass of amber whiskey next to him. Engine parts litter the floor of the operating theater. Hey, Wiggles, big typhoon on the way in. Better batter down the hatches. Oh yeah, they were talking about it in the news a while back. A robot arm swings over for him to take a weary drag from a cigarette. It's gonna be a kicker. What's the deal with the typhoon? It's your first typhoon, isn't it? Typhoons grow in the Pacific, then come crashing into the coast. The biggest one hit Category 7. Real monsters. Unreal. Ambrose swirls his whiskey discontentedly. This one's just a big wet huffer. Streets are gonna flood. Aircraft will be grounded. This one's awakened, so get ready for a lot of communications interference and get your galoshes. It's gonna be wet. He gives you a sidelong glance, a sly look in his eye. Good time for running. In storms, all that wind and rain obscures surveillance. The curfew clears the streets. Cops and security contractors are all lined up. I wonder if it's going to has something to do with the main plot at some point. I'm surprised you're not throwing a typhoon party. Nobody's in the mood for it. I'm not either. These reams are driving everyone crazy. He takes a big slug of his whiskey. A mechanical arm from the chair absently fills the glass back up. Fortunately, I have special training for dealing with dreams. We're at sea level here. What will the storm surge do to Hawaii? Nothing. The Zhirang Wall will seal all of Victoria Harbor behind a big concrete breakwater. It shuts down the harbor and keeps sea level constant. Have you seen the harbor wall activated before? It's a miracle of engineering. It'll stop a 2-meter surge with 7-meter wind waves. Who are you, Ambrose? Really? Ambrose stops what he's doing. He regards you silently. His living eye glitters with intelligence. I'm Ambrose Rokatansky. I'm the doctor around here. Anyone else I might have been is dead and gone. There is no such person as Ambrose Rokatansky, is there? Maybe I wasn't born with that name. Maybe Icebreaker's just a notorious and secretive con runner who vanished with his team. Maybe I never worked for him. Maybe I did. All I'll tell you is what's real. This clinic is real. What I do here is real. This place is as real as it comes. Karen was real. She was my friend and the heart in my story. That's real too. As far as the rest, well, some stories are dangerous to tell. Why'd you leave Chicago, really? Maybe it wasn't Chicago I left. There's been a lot of mixing in the UCS Midwest. It's a big territory that my accent could be from. Maybe I crossed someone like the Mafia, Ares, the Russians, Stuffer Shack. Ambrose winks, but with his cyber eye, his living eye keeps watching you, relentless. Maybe saying that my old hood is inside the Chicago containment zone is just a way to cover my tracks. Go Bears! Duh, Bulls up, Bulls up, Bulls up, Bulls. Yeah, reminds me of the old SNL commercial. Probably for you younger viewers, probably don't know what I'm talking about. So, duh, Bears, duh, Bears. I wonder if that's the reference or not. I don't know. What happened to your team? Things went bad. We got ambushed. Ambrose squints appraisingly at you. His expression is unreadable. A perfect poker face. Poker face. I actually hate that song. I must not have been doing a good job of Overwatch. Hey, I don't play that game either. That ambush killed everyone else. Eventually, it even killed Karen. With his 3 fingers, Ambrose points to the place tubes emerged from his side. My liver and kidneys are machines in my wheelchair. I've lost about half my body. I'm in chronic pain. And every night it's the same thing. Nightmares. They never end. If I had many part in the end of the crew, well, I paid with almost everything. Still less than other. Ambrose is suddenly overcome with emotion. It seems to catch him by surprise. His poker face cracks in an agonal grimace. Tears well up in his eyes. After an instant, he masters himself and his stony face returns. What matters now is making something productive of my life. And when I say I'm just about the luckiest guy in the world. You're admitting that your negos just killed your team? I'm not admitting anything. It's all ancient history, Wiggles. In the Mustang photo, is that your son? Ambrose gets very still. The robotic arms tinkering around you suddenly stop and seem to sag. The only sound in the rumble and hum of the electro furnaces. When he speaks, his voice is slow. That's me when I was younger. Look at the timestamp. It was taken 2034. I don't have a son. I don't have anyone back in the UCAS. He slowly shakes his head. Never did. I've got nothing else to say about it. Hope you can understand that. Huh, because I could have sworn... Ambrose growls. Got nothing to say about it. You know anything about an Archaeopteryx on the BBS? Yeah? Well, like that bird? Yeah, a little bird whom I watched divert attention from a very good rigger dock and defty fish for information on one of the Icebreaker's old associates. What are you implying? Wait, that is me? Ambrose breaks into a smile that is sunny, though possibly a bit forced. Hey, I'm flattered, I really am, but I stay away from the BBS. That world's beyond me. Although I suppose I've ever found someone with whom I had unfinished business. Ambrose's voice drops several octaves for just a moment. I'll be a real angry cuss. I know what your game is. Remember that. Ambrose gives a very slight nod. I will. Welcome to Shadows, Wiggles. He smiles knowingly at you, but not in an unkindly way. Enjoy your stay. Show me your services. Alright, and then he's got some new stuff, new stuff you can buy for your cyberware, more armor plating, stuff like that. So, however you're building your character, build accordingly. So, and then medical supplies, and then yeah, he's got a platinum trauma wagon or trauma kit, which heals you up 100%. And then we got the cold trauma kits as always. So, at some point I do need to buy a platinum just in case things go south. You never know. So, all right, that's it for Ambrose. I think that's pretty much it for story-wise, because the way that the conversation goes with Ambrose and the whole thinking he's doing a mission for, to find like an old connection to his old life or whatever, it never really goes anywhere from what I remember. At least in the original story, it's just there as fluff. You always keep thinking when playing the game that you're going to do something that has to deal with Ambrose like that, but it never happens. So it's kind of like oh, okay. I mean, yeah, you want to learn the history of characters sometimes just to make it more interesting, but that's the way they were building it up, you know. Man, let's see how the House of Troll is doing. The younger troll bouncer is far from alert as he's ever been. Men and women pass through the front door without earning even a glance from Freddy. He just taps away at the screen of a tablet, oblivious to the world. I think someone just carried in a nuke, Freddy. Aww. Hurt to Freddy. He finally looks up. Oh, it's you. Sorry about that. Just making some final arrangements. My father thinks I'm not ready for the big time. He thinks I'm not strong enough or resourceful enough or whatever, but I'm proving him wrong already. See, I've got it all figured out. The Hell Thunder crew has been spotted to the south, mostly among the islands here. The Star Ferry service operates all through the region, so I just need to head down to Stanley and start hopping ferries and I'll hear the drums. They play the drums. Did you know that? That's why I've been practicing. I've got a plus-size capsule reserved at the Dynasty Mansions in Stanley. I've got enough cash to cover that and the ferry rides for about 2 months. And get this, Stanley is also known as Chek Chu, which means bandit post. Why? Because of the pirates. It's a sign, I'm telling you. I've also got a lead on someone with the Toja Vori down there, who may be able to help. He's got connections inside Yamatsu. They pretty much run the marine department these days. They monitor the ships coming and going, so if pirates hit, they'll know. And once they know, my God will make sure I know. It's all coming together. I'll show my ball what I'm made of. I'm leaving as soon as I get my loose ends tied up. So these decisions basically kind of can push Freddy into a specific direction, and there is no quest amongst this. All this is flavor text with how the House of Troll or Club 88 goes. So just choose whatever you want to at the time. So I'm not sure about this, Freddy. What's not to be sure of? I've got it all figured out. I can find these guys, I know it. But what if they don't want to be found? But But the trolls like me, and they're pirates like my ball. Are you saying they might not take me, or worse? Shit, now you got me all confused. I suppose I don't have to leave immediately. One more day to stew on it won't matter much. Just sleep on it, Freddy. Yeah, just not saying you shouldn't do it. Just be aware of where you're getting into. You know, if that's what you want to do, man. Hey, man, I'm not here to stop you. I'm just saying, just think about it for a second. Henry stands unmoving at the back of the club, staring blankly at the wall. Had the wall been built with a window, the view afforded would lead straight out to sea. But as is, the old troll stares at nothing. I've come to a decision. So will it be the super salad? You're a strange man, but here it is. I can't do it any longer. I can't keep going on this way. I'm just so tired, and not just because of the dreams disturbing my sleep at night. I was weary of this world long before that. If anything, the dreams simply served to underscore the truth. I don't belong here. I've known it for a long time. I just couldn't admit it to myself. I tried my best for the sake of Ermine and the boys, but I'm more of a burden to them than a help. Better for me to be out of their hair. Sounds like he's suffering from depression. This just isn't my world anymore. Likely it never was. But maybe there was still a world out there for me. Somewhere on the water. Or maybe the only world for me is back in the past. All I know is that it's not here. When my number is up, whether it's tomorrow or years from now, I'll just slip into the water. Less of a burden of death than it was in life. Simple and neat. The tide is going out. It's time I went with it. Won't your family miss you? It will be no different than when I was working. They survived fine back then, and they're better equipped to survive now. They'll be fine. There was a difference. You always came back before. I suppose. But did they need me to? Did they want me to? Now I don't know. A moment ago it all seemed so clear. Give it some time. The ocean will always be there. You're right, Wiggles. She'll be there, waiting for me. He sighs heavily like a gust of sad wind. I'll stay this course just a little longer. And up to you, my friend. Like I said, just keep... Because sometimes a lot of decisions are made at the split moment, or a lot of it is super selfish. And obviously at some point, you gotta consider yourself, but you also gotta consider the thoughts of others if you're enveloped in that type of world. So, see how Callum's doing. Callum is a rare state, steeped neither in melancholy nor in alcohol-fueled oblivion. His excitement can barely be held back by corners of his mouth, and this comes in stark contrast to the dread hanging over Hawaii. This is it, Wiggles. It's actually happening. The rapture? Alright, spill it. Yeah, I should have said the rapture. I accidentally clicked that. I actually meant to say the rapture, but I don't know where to stop. I'm just so excited. It's official. My ship has finally come in. My mother won't approve, my father won't care, my brother won't understand, but this opportunity is too great to pass up. Certainly you can see that. Seems almost too good to be true. You don't know the half of it. Mr. Ty confessed to me something else. They performed a genetics test after our dinner. He says I'm his son. It all makes sense now. I never fit in there, and I'm nothing like my father and my brother. Don't you see, my mother had an affair with Mr. Ty. All attempts to keep me down were really just efforts to save face. She couldn't let anyone know her shame. That Henry wasn't my father. But it doesn't matter now. My real father has found me, and he's going to give me the life I always deserved. For starters, he divided me in a Bahu corporate retreat for execs and their families. He wants me, his wife, and his 2 daughters. Imagine that. I've got 2 little sisters. I can't wait to leave this all behind. I don't know about this. What's not to know? Matt is the only one who's been honest with me. My mother has been lying to me my entire life. I don't know anything. I paid for her lies long enough. It's time I got something for myself, right? Are you trying to convince me or yourself? I just don't know. Maybe you're right, but I need to think about it. There's a lot at stake here, and that world isn't always as it seems. Think about it for a while. Caleb nods thoughtfully. Thanks, Wiggles. I will. I'm basically going the neutral route with it without giving definitives. Yeah. Yeah, I know, that's lazy. I should just be saying, hey, just go for it, you know, see what happens, but... The troll woman looks more weary than you have ever seen her. The club is virtually shut down, and she doesn't seem to care. She's lost that presence which had once defined her, and has left her visibly smaller. The world's gone mad, hasn't it? The world's always been mad. What's happening? What's happened? She looks at a nearby photo of her son Callum hanging from a metal shelf. Callum thinks Henry isn't his father. He thinks I had an affair. He even threatened to tell Henry if I don't let him leave. The truth is, he's right. I did have an affair. I had several affairs. I was young and beautiful and very aggressive. I was going places. Henry was gone at sea most of the time. Henry isn't Callum's father, but I can't tell Callum the truth about his father. It might destroy him. Are you sure? The truth often sets us free. Sometimes, but often shatters our illusions. That man now whispers promises to my son, a free ride through university, a guaranteed starting position at Bahu, a bright future. Callum doesn't know what that world is like. Once I was ready to leave Henry for that man. He lavished gifts on me. He told me I was special. Maybe he really did love me. I was a troll girl from Hawaii, transcending her meager beginnings. I was becoming someone of worth. I even had a powerful human lover. Ermine fixes a level gaze at you. Bahu has always frowned on metahumans. I was an exception. I thought that just because they accepted me, it wouldn't affect me anymore. In fact, I myself looked down on most metahumans as an oversensitive and lazy. Then he invited me to a high-level corporate retreat for the weekend. And they treated you badly? No, I was treated like a princess. However, my eyes were open to the depths of cruelty that I had been ignoring. Do you want to know why they do what they do at these retreats? They hunt. But what is there to hunt there in Hong Kong? Nothing. Nothing but which is different. Those they secretly disdain. Those they see as animals. They hunt poor metahumans. It reminds me of a movie and a book, like the same concept, like the greatest skill or the greatest hunt of all is to hunt man. I think they also did like a Twilight Zone episode based off that. I think the Outer Limits probably did something like that. It's been parodied before in cartoons and movies in the future. But I'm trying to remember what the original short story was called. Man, I'll have to look it up later. But yeah, that's based off an old story. So somehow they thought it was okay with it. They thought I was one of them. They don't kill their prey. It's more satisfying to let them live, knowing their victims are powerless to find justice. They take trophies, the tips of an elf's ear, an orc's tusk, a troll's horns. She reaches up to stroke her own horns as if reassuring herself they are still intact. I realized I had already given them a trophy, my basic humanity, my principles. Ermine's voice is cool and professional. Her expression is earnest. For me, it wasn't about humans versus elves or orcs or dwarves or my kind. I want you to understand that. Wiggles, it was about common humanity. It's about how we treat all people. What'd you do? I had to like it was fine and held together for the weekend. I hid my feelings like any good negotiator in a bad position. Then once the weekend was over, I cleaned out my office. I came back to Hawaii and sent Bahu my resignation. Later, I found out I was pregnant with Callum. When the DNA test confirmed that Henry wasn't the father, I meant to terminate the pregnancy. But I couldn't bear to do it. And so Callum, my son, one of the joys of my life. Maybe his man fancies himself as Callum's father. Even if he does, that still doesn't guarantee Callum's safety among those people. Bahu's still Bahu, and maybe that man just wants to get back at me for leaving him. After all, he had the audacity to say that I broke his heart. This is why I can't allow Callum to go. I would rather my son hate me forever than give himself to that world. Ermine draws herself up to her full height. She restores herself to her usual regal bearing. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have troubled you with my problems. You probably came here on business and your time is valuable. Can I show you something? Let's have a look. So yeah, you don't really have a major decision with her. It's all about everyone else because her family's falling apart. So, but yeah, she's got new guns, pistols, shotguns, assault rifles, everything like that. So I'm just kind of skimming through them since I've never got to buy anything from these because I have my magic to do that. So, but yeah, I got a new armor suit. Unfortunately, it's weird how certain classes don't get better armor than others. Like everyone gets the 8, you know. But whatever. Yeah. Buy explosives, stuff like that. So yeah. So just a little bit of everything. So, but I'll buy what I want off screen. Might buy a new set of armor, although I just bought that 6-piece, so I might be fine. But I'll probably look at buying some spells as well. All right. Before we call it an episode, let's go over the level list, shall we? So now we're at level 5. So let's take a look at what we got. Raptor gets quickness, AP, drone control, biotech, and dodge and pistol at level 5 at +1. His Predator build gives him the firearm system, which all of Koshei's firearm systems attack now pierces up to 2 armor, which is pretty good. Also got the Mangler ability, which is the augmented melee systems. He gains the clawed feet. This causes attacks on all melee systems to bleed targets for 2 damage for 2 rounds, which is pretty good. But I like guns being able to pierce armor, so we're gonna do Predator, or we're gonna do the firearm system augment. Now let's look at Gaichu. At level 5, Gaichu gets body, quickness, strength, willpower, AP, close combat, dodge, edged, and unarmed at +1. See, his red samurai ability is the metal cover bonus. So his metal stance now provides light cover bonus, preventing critical hits in the open, which is really nice because he's going to be going in close to people, so that's a really good thing to have. if you can't get him to cover, for example. His ghoul ability is Disease. So Gaichu exudes a cluster of disease spores, damaging the nearby enemies. Base damage 16 with an ongoing 3 HP and 1 HP damage for 3 rounds. AP cost 1, cooldown 5. So both are really good abilities because Gaichu has to get into the thick of it either way. But this one gives him an ability that really hits people right next to him, while the Red Samurai cover bonus is a free ability. As long as you switch to the metal stance, it gives you a cover bonus. So all are pretty good. I'm going to stick with the ghoul ability just because I'm sticking with the theme there, but either one would be solid. If I was playing the harder difficulty, I'd probably choose the metal cover bonus, because on harder difficulty you have take more damage and stuff like that. But yeah. Alright, Duncan, level 5, he gets quickness, AP, ranged combat, biotech, and rifle at +1. His lethal force ability is the recoil compensation, so full auto fire no longer has a 10% penalty, which is really nice. And also, he can get crowd control, which gives him, his crowd control gives him shock baton. So he gets a new weapon, a melee range shock baton. It is 4 HP and 2 AP damage per hit, but must be recharged every 2 hits to do it. That's the only problem, but it's a pretty decent guaranteed knockout for the most part. But I like using his full rifle, so I'm going to stick with recoil compensation. So, all right. Isabel has AP, ranged combat, pistol 1, and ESP control 2 at level 5. Her sabotage ability is bright light systems. She gains the bright light system, Cyber Eye. High energy flash bulbs hidden in Cyber Eye, capable of temporarily blinding an opponent. Costs 2 AP, duration 2, cooldown 6. So basically, she can blind someone, which they can still possibly hit, but it lowers the hit by quite a bit if they're blind. Or she can get the espionage ability, which gives her the jolt alert system. So if the user is brought into a stun state, they'll be jolted awake. So if someone hits her with like a grenade that hits her to 0, she can automatically get booted back up to 1. If it happens multiple times, obviously it only works once. Sabotage ain't bad, but I'd rather go with the ability to, even though I don't get stunned too often with her, I'd rather have that option to do that. I'm going to be mainly use my turns for grenade launcher or marking targets than really blinding dudes. At least for me, I prefer that one. But anyway, Gobbet gets quickness, charisma, AP, and dodge at +1. Her territorial ability is the Plague Bearer. You gain a conjuring spell, which has which sets 4 heavy cross barriers that last for 3 rounds. Anyone that enters takes 14 HP and 1 damage. So basically, it's like firewall and stuff like that. So if they enter it, they take damage. Or Spiritualist gives her the Devil Rat Spirit Fetish. So now you can summon so basically you get a free, once per mission, you get a free rat summon ability. And by the way, the gem she got from her story mission is a magic item that you can use once per mission as well. So this gives her let's see. I mean, depends how often people run into. If you're playing Gobbet correctly, you're probably not supposed to be right in the middle of combat to where people will be running into her thing. But then again, you can set it somewhere else. I'm not really very good at setting stuff like this because it's based on how movement goes and stuff like that. So I'm not very good at that. So I'm gonna, even though it's a consumable, I'd rather. I think I'm gonna choose the Spirit Fetish. But Territorial is probably the better item, but I'm not very good at setting that stuff up. So, but all right, that's it for all of our companions. So now that at level 5, we're better than ever. But what awaits us next? Perhaps Red Raku needs to see the threat that is the Red Samurai that they let go. But find out what happens next time in the next episode of Shadowrun Hong Kong. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.